Okay, let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. So, Caitlin, those new executive orders last night followed a wide-ranging speech that the president gave at the GOP's annual retreat in Florida. Give us some of the highlights.
Yeah, Vlad, good to see you. Well, House Republicans are meeting in Miami, and they actually met at Trump's golf course in a ballroom that is named after the president. And that kind of gets you a behind-the-scenes look at how close this House Republican conference is with the president. This was a very celebratory atmosphere, and on the agenda is the president's agenda, specifically how they're going to get through tax cuts and other tax-related items on the economy through this Congress, along with immigration and other items on the president's agenda. But what's really interesting, Vlad, just listening to your conversation with Ed there about executive orders, the question I have on this end of Pennsylvania Avenue is how Republicans are assessing the president's use of executive orders and executive authority. We're really seeing kind of the president flood the zone with executive action. That's been applauded by Republican lawmakers here on Capitol Hill, but it also kind of runs counter to the conservative argument that, presidents shouldn't have all of the power. So that's something that we're kind of tracking here as we go forward, not only the response to these specific orders, but kind of how this Congress sees itself in a situation where the president is trying to go at it alone in a lot of respects.
That's such an interesting point that you raise, Caitlin, because on one hand, Republicans prefer small government and they prefer all the power to not be concentrated in the hands of the chief executive. They want the power concentrated in the states and localities where the citizens reside. So that's sort of interesting. The other thing that's interesting is, of course, if a Democrat was signing a bunch of executive orders this early in the presidency, you can be sure that Republicans would not be happy about that for the reasons we just stated. So I'm just sort of curious, given that Democrats are on their heels and haven't really quite figured out how to counteract these policies that the president is hoping to implement, what you're hearing from folks on the ground.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, Vlad, and we saw this in previous administrations. It's always the party out of power that raises the alarm bells about this. But what's interesting is that Democrats really don't have a kind of unified leader of the party right now. They're still kind of in the wilderness trying to figure things out. I mean, case in point, in just about an hour or so, some Democratic leaders are going to hold a press conference announcing a resolution to essentially talk about how upset they are with the president's pardon of January 6th offenders. That is a little bit of a delayed response and doesn't really have much teeth. The pressure that they're able to put on Republicans, isn't really as profound. But the big question we have today, and what I will likely hear from Democrats, is this questioning of the president's executive authority when it comes to halting that federal aid. This is a situation where at least lawmakers on the Democratic side of the aisle want to assert their authority on these measures. There are likely going to be legal challenges to a lot of what the president does, but that's also something that has been part of his MO over the years, right? I mean, put a lot of things out there and see what sticks. But by and large, you have Republicans here on Capitol Hill unified around the president. And we're also likely to see that, Vlad, later this week when we have some big confirmation hearings on the Senate side for some of his more controversial picks, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel.
So let's talk about the Democrats. Two interesting nuggets for our viewers. We just learned of a major turnover for Democrats in the state of Michigan. As Senator Gary Peters announces that he won't seek re-election. That's sort of interesting. But up on the calendar, Caitlin, as you know, on February 1st is the election for the Democratic National Committee chairman. Jamie Harrison is saying he's not going to seek re-election. There's a lot of Democrats suggesting that to be able to counter the president's message, as it specifically relates to Democrats, they need somebody who's a good counter-puncher. They haven't seen that lately. So what are you hearing, not only about what's happening in Michigan, but what could potentially take place on February 1st?
Yeah, as we're talking about who the leader of the Democratic Party is, this race on for the DNC chair will be at least one step in that direction. Now, the DNC chair is responsible for party messaging. You'll probably see them on TV a lot, punching back at the Republicans. But what that job really is about is money and infrastructure. That doesn't sound all that exciting, but that is so important when you're talking about building up the party, building up the bench, building up those state parties, having a big, robust infrastructure for Democrats to play at the state level and get them up to the federal level, and also have the money to be able to counterpunch on this programming. So that will be one step. But we're also looking at that Senate seat that you mentioned in Michigan. This is a huge deal, Vlad, because this is a state, a key battleground state in Michigan. Trump just won it in November, and this is an open seat in the midterms. And as we know, the Republicans control the Senate, but it's still a pretty slim margin. So could they expand that majority? That remains to be seen. But that also gives an indication about how Democrats may feel about their current circumstances.
Yeah, Michigan's so interesting, Caitlin, as you point out, because, yes, Donald Trump did win that state handily. But we, of course, as you know, spoke to Governor Gretchen Whitmer yesterday on CBS Mornings. And she is an incredibly popular governor in that state. So it really will be interesting to see what happens with Senator Peter's seat. I'm looking forward to that discussion happening all across the state of Michigan. Caitlin Huey-Burns for us on the Hill. Love to have it. Thank you very much, Caitlin.